started. You can hear us. Excellent. Right, excellent. Well, this stream is going to be about... I'm going to be reading a bit from the Manson file. About Charles Manson's business 3 Star Enterprises, which is a company he had when he was about 24. So this is in 1958, way before the murders. And before he went to prison for 6 years for breaking his parole. I'm going to get into his prison record as well, because I managed to put together a timeline of that. But this 3 Star Enterprises is where he was first caught sort of pimping and making pornography, basically. And so we'll get into that, and I'll read out a bit from the Manson file. And on Sunday night, I may read out the heavy chapter about more pornography that Manson was linked to and the Manson case is linked to. So yeah, tune in Sunday as well. But yeah, live stream anyway, so I'll talk to the audience for a minute. But I will make sure there's chapters, so if you're watching on playback, you can get straight to where the good stuff happens. Yeah, I had loads of internet problems. I'm glad the sound is working. I just had to restart my router with 10 minutes to go. Luckily, it all reconnected again in time. But yeah, it was a nightmare. And the slides wouldn't upload, but I've got the slides uploaded now. Yeah, this is like an interesting little chapter, and like I say, a lot of people don't realise. And in this case, we're not looking at the right aspects from that we should be looking at from modern eyes. We don't look at the human trafficking aspect and the pimping and all this sort of thing. This case is seen as, we look at these people as sociopaths and psychopaths or whatever. We don't take into account people were being drugged and sex trafficked the whole time and shit like that. We need to look at this case differently. And there's stuff coming out recently with, P. Diddy and all that. It's coming out that this sort of thing is going on in Hollywood. People are getting drugged and filmed against their will and stuff like that. And this all ties in with the Manson case. So I wanted to talk about that because I talk about, vintage things. But this is being reflected now. It is still happening now. This sort of thing. And people it's starting to come out. So it's like the Johnny Cash song is coming true. What's done in darkness will be brought to the light. Sooner or later, they're going to cut you down. It's happening. It's happening now. So it's like a golden age of it. I think that people are really going to start falling soon. Society's going to fall, and then we'll finally get into the Mad Max bit. And we'll all be like riding around on motorbikes looking like steampunks. It'll be great. Yeah. But we'll lose the internet, so we won't be able to talk to each other anymore, which would be sad. But yeah, other than that. Yeah. But anyway, like I say, I've got... They did upload, didn't they? Yes, and I cannot be sure if this is the actual building as well. This is the plot, though. This might not be the original building. It might have been knocked down and rebuilt. But that's what stands at the plot now. And before I get to reading from the Manson file, I just want to take you through all the time he did in prison before. Right, so he's born on November the 12th in Cincinnati, illegitimate son of a 16-year-old girl named Kathleen Maddox. His father, who Manson never met, was Colonel Scott from Ashland, Kentucky. In 1939, Manson's mother, a heavy drinker, is sentenced to prison for armed robbery. And it's just before that she tries to sell him for a jug of beer and all that, isn't it? 1947, Manson's mother tries to send Charles to a foster home. A court orders him to be sent to Gibault School for Boys in Terre Haute, Indiana. Sorry, I butchered that, didn't I? 1948, Manson commits his first known crime, the burglary of a grocery store. He is caught and sent to a juvenile detention center. He escapes and commits 2 armed robberies. Apprehended again, Manson is sent to the Indiana School for Boys in Plainfield, where he spends the next 3 years, except for a brief period of freedom during 18 escapes. 1951, Manson escapes from the School for Boys and heads west in a stolen car, burglarizing 15 to 20 gas stations along the way. He is caught in Utah and sent to the National Training School for Boys in Washington, D.C. A psychiatrist calls Manson a slick but extremely sensitive boy. Manson marries Rosalie Willis, a waitress from Wheeling. The couple produces a child, Charles Jr. Manson works as a parking lot attendant and busboy and steals cars. In October, he is arrested for auto theft and sentenced to 5 years probation. In 1956, Manson is sentenced to 3 years imprisonment at San Pedro, California, for violating the terms of his 1955 probation. Right, so for violating probation, he gets sent to prison. 1958, he gets divorced, and his ex-wife retains custody of their child. And Manson is released on parole and becomes a pimp and pornographer in Southern California. And this is the bit we're going to be reading about. 1959, Manson is arrested for forging a treasury check. He is given a 10-year suspended sentence. 1960, in January, Manson marries again, this time a 19-year-old. In April, he is indicted on the Federal Mann Act charges. He is arrested in Laredo and brought back to California, where he is ordered to prison to serve the 10-year sentence that had been suspended in 1959. In 1961, Manson is transferred to a federal penitentiary at McNeil Island, Washington. He claims to be a Scientologist. Prison psychiatrists say he has deep-seated personality problems. 1963. After fathering a second child, Charles Luther Manson, Manson is again divorced. March the 21st, 1967, Manson asked prison officials to let him remain in prison, but having completed a 10-year prison term, he is released and he heads for San Francisco. And the rest is history. We don't have to go more into that than that, do we, really? I'll leave these on the screen. You can pause to read them, obviously. But yeah, he had a checkered prison record. They were already saying he had personality problems. Yes, and his first known crime was the burglary of a grocery store. I hope there's not civil unrest in America over this shit. Fucking hell. Looks quite heavy. Happy news from New York City. What about Trump? Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, I just wanted to get that out there for people that are interested. And obviously, if you're watching this on playback, you can pause it and read it. And soon I'll get to reading from the Manson file. We'll just stop and chat for a second. This is a Thursday night stream, more of a casual one. But yeah. How many kids did he have? Well, it says in that, I'm pretty sure, yeah, there are 2 before. And then he had Mike Bruner with Mary Bruner, didn't he? Yeah. I hope it's not bad. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Don't make it political. I don't want to talk about Trump, really. Come on. That's it. We're trying to stick to the subject, aren't we? But yeah, I'll just say, I'm hoping for everyone's sake that there's not civil unrest and that. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. That's it. Revolutionise that, and this is what he should be known for as well, but he's not. You know what I mean? People don't see him as that. I think people are more now because people are more aware of these sorts of things, aren't they? But for a long time, he's seen like a serial killer or something, isn't he? And people don't see him as, you know, a pimp and a human trafficker, which is what he was. And also, when if I do read out the bit from the Manson file about the connections to, you know, Hollywood of the crimes and all that, then you'll find out, you know, there was a lot of people who were just as bad as Charles Manson who never went to prison. And, you know, it's disturbing, it really is. Yeah, when I get to it, I'll read it out. Yeah, well, sort of, there's a lot said about it, isn't it? In Squeaky's book, she mentioned Sandy walked in on him with some girl that was auditioning for pornography, and she had her legs, you know, her ankles behind her ears, sort of thing, and he was doing it like that, and Sandy walked in and was upset and offended by it. That is mentioned in Squeaky's book, so that's one thing. So he was still making the pornography then when he was with these girls, and he probably made pornography of these girls, didn't he? Yeah, like I say, I'll get to it though when I read it out. But it's filmed. Someone found a film, basically, of their daughter. Yeah, I'll get on to reading it out. I don't know what picture to put on the screen, so I don't want to be on the screen reading the book. Just leave that picture up. Though we cannot verify this is the exact building, that is the plot. Right, and this is from page 154 of the Manson file, if you have this edition. Charles Manson, President, 3-Star Enterprises. While most material about Manson and Hollywood only covers the 67-69 period, Manson himself dated his involvement with the film capital's players as far back as 1958. Writing cryptically of his bed that went through all the stars, Elvis and a bit more, Manson recalled, "When I had sex on Orchid Avenue, Orange Street, and the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel across the road from the Chinese Theatre." What Manson obliquely refers to here is the period in the late 50s when he had a prison crony named Tony Cassino set up an entertainment enterprise of sorts on the margins of legitimate Hollywood show business. The side streets named above marked the range of their Hollywood Boulevard turf. Business cards handed out to young female starry-eyed Hollywood hopefuls newly arrived in search of fame identified the Manson and Cassino team as president and vice president of 3-Star Enterprises, nightclub, radio and TV productions. This fledgling film production venture, the card said, operated from offices at 6871 Franklin. As fate would have it, 3-Star's humble headquarters was very near to the Franklin Avenue apartment where Manson's near-fatal shooting of Bernard Crowe, almost 10 years later, marked the end of Manson's chances for mainstream success in the rock industry. To the degree that it was ever more than a name on a card, 3-Star Enterprises kept mostly nocturnal business hours. That's when 3-Star's promising young talent entertained gentlemen callers in rooms rented at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. In the 1950s, the Roosevelt's cocktail lounge was already a well-known hooker's haunt. More than one famous John could be seen prowling around there for a professional companionship. That Hollywood tradition lasted well into the early 80s, when the Roosevelt was a seedy ghost of its former grandeur. Police reports tell us that Charlie and Tony promised their female discoveries that they would be introduced to legit movie producers if only they put in a little paid time on the casting couch, namely a bed in the Hollywood Roosevelt. As for the TV productions, 3-Star shot, we can get an idea of some of their content from an angry complaint brought to the attention of Manson's parole officer by one Ralph Samuels. His 19-year-old daughter had not only been persuaded by a young producer, Manson, to invest all of her savings in 3-Star Enterprises, Samuels claimed, but she also had turned tricks for him before he impregnated her. So another kid there, unless she had an abortion. Tracking down his daughter's procurer at a rundown rooming house in Pasadena, the enraged father found that Manson had already abandoned the premises. In the refuse left behind, Samuels claimed to have found pornography featuring his daughter with Manson. 3-Star Enterprises apparently sold such material to out-of-state clients in the market for those then illegal entertainments. And this is not the last we shall hear of such productions. So that's like a comparatively short chapter for the Manson file. And yes, I made these just for the bullet points of what to take away from that. So he set up the company with prison crony Tony Cassino. The premises was near where Bernard Crowe was shot by Manson years later. They handed out business cards to Hollywood hopefuls, then got them to engage in sex work and pornography. They used the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. A complaint was made to Manson's parole officer that he convinced a girl to give him all her savings and pimped her out and made porn of her. The father found Manson had already fled when he tracked him down and found the pornography of his daughter in Manson's apartment. So yeah, was this one of the things that the parole violations that got him sent back to prison? Maybe, who knows? Oh yeah, that's like the bullet points of it all. Yeah. Yeah. Vice president, president, and vice president. It is crazy. Yeah, and but yeah, getting the girl to hand over her savings as well. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? For his MO later, he gets all the girls to hand over all their money to him straight away. So this is very much, the way he acted throughout his life, wasn't it? You know what I mean? He didn't change. Yeah, 3-Star. That's it as well. 3-Star. That's what I thought. That doesn't sound very good, does it? Not 5-Star then. 3-Star. Yeah. Sorry, just looking at the chat for a second. Yeah, that's the thing. All pornography was illegal then, and Charlie was probably making porn of all kinds. From what I hear, he was more into just filming girls. Charlie wasn't into but he would deny being into doing that, wouldn't he? Of course he would. So, and we've only got his word for it. So yeah, can't discount it. But it does sound like what Manson filmed was mainly girls. Whether they was always of age though, as well. That's the other thing. Yeah. That's what he was essentially. Yeah. That's what he did later in life as well. And that's what these girls were, you know. And it explains their behaviour as well. If you far better if you think of him as their pimp rather than, you know, some like kind of mind control genius or whatever the hell they tried to portray him as. He was, yeah. Yeah. Is that what it meant? Yeah, the girls weren't 5 stars. Yeah. 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 Was Charlie the Goodyear pimp? Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That is essentially what he was saying, yeah. Yeah, they said, yeah, that you know, they were kidding the girls, that this would result in, yeah, Hollywood fame. Like I say, the other chapter is much, much longer and goes more into the pornography. And it's the kind of thing, it will just get buried on YouTube. The only people who will see it are the people who really search for it, and my subscribers. But I'll put it out there anyway. So yeah, because I was in a rush, I probably didn't read that very smoothly. I didn't have a chance to like rehearse it because I had to restart my computer loads and everything before I could start. I hope that was quite clear. And you got it, basically. But yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting later that Chatsworth was HQ for porn. And the family, didn't they also make porn at Melba Cronkite's place in Malibu? And I've heard at the Spiral Staircase house as well, there was possibly pornography made there. But this is all in the bit that I'll read out another, probably on Sunday, because that's really long though. This is a really long chapter, so I don't know how I'm going to do it again, because like when I read out the Schiller stuff, takes, you know, it's about an hour of time. The amount of pages, because the pages are all 2 columns, so it doesn't look like much. It's only a couple of pages, but it's the equivalent of like 20 pages of a normal size book that you've actually read out, you know. Yeah. That you need to hear it to hear all the connections. That's the thing, the crazy amount of connections in this case, and it becomes clear what they were covering up as soon as you hear this stuff. This is what they were trying to cover up, you know, and draw attention away from. This is why they had to have you think that these people were strangers to them and they just randomly selected them, because of what the real reasons all this shit happened was, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but that's, you know, obviously quite short. So yeah, that's all I've really got for tonight. And it does, obviously. And yeah, I was also going to show stuff about loverboy pimps as well, human trafficking method used. And there's like a government websites talking about this, and it's come up recently with the P. Diddy stuff. And Charles Manson appears to have acted in the same way. Once you hear the method, it does sound very, very familiar, sort of thing. I'll go off the screen. This is from the government of the Netherlands, their website. Loverboys, or Romeo pimps, are human traffickers who usually operate by trying to make young girls or boys fall in love with them. Sometimes they manipulate young people in other ways. Once they have victims under their influence, they exploit them, for instance, in the sex industry. Loverboy method changing due to internet and social media. Traditionally, a loverboy seduces young, vulnerable girls and boys over a lengthy period of time in order to exploit them sexually later on. This practice is being used less and less. Nowadays, loverboys resort more quickly and frequently to threatening their victims using blackmail and violence. The internet and social media are playing an increasing role in this phenomenon. For instance, social media provides loverboys with much greater scope for establishing contact with victims and gathering information about vulnerable boys and girls. This makes it easier for them to force their young victims into the sex industry. So yeah, or just that method. That's exactly what Charles Manson was doing. all the girls talk about how much they love him, don't they? And how when he first met them, he made them feel so loved and like they were the only person in the world. And then they realise that they have to join a harem of women, and that that's exactly what Charles Manson was doing, wasn't it? And what a lot of these guys in the music industry appear to have done, because P. Diddy is acting in the same way. He's been accused of it by his ex Cassie, hasn't he? Basically, of making her perform at these freak offs, so forcing her to do sexual things, which is the same thing essentially, isn't it? Yeah. Dr. Phil called it love bombing with Diane Lake, yeah. And well, Patricia Krenwinkel as well. Her name's hard to say. Patricia Krenwinkel, the way she talks about the way he talked to her when he first met her, and then the way he treated her subsequently, you know what I mean? But he really convinced her. He got her on the hook with the first night he spent with her. He was so nice to her the first night he spent with her. She probably never had a man be that nice to her, you know what I mean? So she really fell for it. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Lover boy doesn't say, but it's a lover boy pimp. It's a type of pimp, yeah. The word pimp is added to the end of it. And the difference with them is they seduce the kid and they make them think that they're in a relationship with them, and it's a relationship. And then once you're in too deep with them, then they start pimping you out, basically. And that is really what Manson did, isn't it? There's interviews I've been watching with Diane Lake where she says she remembers being taken to parties and being expected to sleep with the host of the party. And she was like 14 years old when she was with the Manson family, wasn't she? 15, 16. So, yeah. He was doing all that sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Grooming. And the girls all learned off each other as well. So the girls, the girls that had been with him longer would have taught the other girls what to do. So they were forced to groom other girls on Manson's behalf, without even knowing it as well. It's all done with psychological trickery and that. You think you're helping the other girl to make you please, the pimp. But actually, you're just grooming them to get as, much in trouble as you are. It's a sick practice, and it happens, a lot. And like it said in that article there, it's getting worse because of social media, because it's easier for them to find vulnerable victims, because everyone posts all their life online, don't they? That's the thing, you've got to protect yourself. If you're a vulnerable person, right, don't go fucking joining loads of groups, and because these people target these groups of, young anxious people or young mentally ill people gather, and that it's a dangerous world out there. It's horrible you have to be that paranoid, but that really is how it is. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. If all the crimes hadn't happened, we could be sitting here discussing the depth of his lyrics and the album he made. Yeah. The albums he made. Well, there are recordings, aren't there, that have never been released. Dennis Wilson's supposed to have thrown some into the sea, but it can't all have been destroyed. There are recordings of him, and there was apparently an album planned right up until Manson shot Bernard Crowe. That's what ruined it for him. That was what made everyone close their doors on him, really. If you really analyse this story and you look for the truth. They want you to believe that he was bitter because he was frozen out of the record industry or whatever. He wasn't right up until about a month, when Bernard Crowe gets shot, basically. That's when they suddenly turned on him. There was an album planned and they'd taken the cover photos for it and all that, already. Because Terry Melcher and that they were actually desperate. They were desperate for money. They needed a new, thing. Yeah, that's it. Everything is Tex's fault, basically. Yeah, well, Tex started the Bernard Crowe thing, didn't he? Yeah, and that appears to have just been some kind of revenge on Rosina. It's unclear exactly why he fucking did that, what possessed him to do that. I don't believe Charlie ordered him to go and do it. I think that but yeah, what the hell was his motive for that? He must have known that was going to bring trouble on them. Why the hell did he do that? Just to get revenge on Rosina? Ridiculous thing to do. So yeah, that is Tex's fault, isn't it? And it was supposed to just be, if Cielo Drive was supposed to just be a robbery and they weren't supposed to kill anyone, then Tex fucked that up as well, didn't he? Badly, if that is the case, if that is really the case. They actually weren't intending to kill everyone. Which I sort of believe now, actually. I believe that they didn't go there intending to kill everyone. I think something went horribly wrong. Hmm. Yeah, that's it. Yes. Tex and Linda. And Susan Atkins. Susan Atkins caused a lot of this shit as well. Susan Atkins was involved with Gary Hinman, wasn't she? And she went out, and from what she says during the penalty phase, I believe a lot of what she actually said. I don't think that she was entirely lying the whole time. You know, she spoke some truth. And I think that was her motive for going, was to try and get Bobby off the hook, because she was scared Bobby was going to incriminate her because she was at Hinman. Not because she loved Bobby and to free Bobby, but just because she was scared she was going to get incriminated. But all she did was make it worse for herself, didn't she? Hmm. I took a change of clothes. That's it. Do we fucking know all this for sure, though, really? I question everything now. I question everything. I totally do. And I can only find pictures of one set of clothing as well. That's the other weird thing. In the court evidence photos, they said they're supposed to have found loads of sets of clothing, but I could only find photos of one set of clothing, a sweater and jeans. And just to burglarize a place, just to burgle a place, you might take a change of clothing for that. You know what I mean? Darker clothing. That's it, yeah. Yeah, it was Linda Kasabian as well. Her shit was the people at CLA Drive. Because there's more stuff about that, about the girls having been up there before, and Jay Sebring having been too rough with them as well. That's another rumour. Like I say, if I do read out this, the really nasty chapter of the Manson file, we get into that. Yeah, the rumour that Jay Sebring had filmed the girls and was too rough with them. And that's another reason why they got so violent in the end with them. Yeah, that's it. They didn't have a change on the second night, did they? But they stole clothing, so they could have just changed into, Rosemary LaBianca's clothing. But no, they didn't take a change of clothing, did they? And they had no getaway vehicle. I can't believe Manson just left them with no getaway vehicle. It does seem like he wanted them to get caught, doesn't it? We've been saying this in groups, yeah. He didn't send his best and brightest. He was sending them hoping they would get caught, I think. But they came back. Yeah, that's it. Dress up as the Scooby Gang. With a... Well, in Rosemary LaBianca's closet, there might have been enough different outfits, yeah, to do an approximation of the Scooby Gang. She would have had a lot of dresses, wouldn't she? And there's other accounts of people saying that they saw Leslie burning dresses, so they actually stole a lot more from the LaBiancas than they make out. They stole out dresses, and because designer dresses are worth money as well. That's the thing people might not get. It's not, just stealing to wear them yourself. They're worth money. And more coins. She's supposed to have been seen counting more of the coins than they admitted that they stole and shit like that, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, he always felt he wanted them gone. I don't know why he would want Drumwinkle gone, though, because she was one of the first girls. She was one of the most loyal and obedient to him. You'd think that he would want to keep her because she was useful to him. I wonder if he sent her because he thought she might take control of the situation. She might be able to control Tex or whatever. But no one could control Tex. Tex completely had lost his mind, didn't he? Yeah, the news crew found it off. Yeah, Mulholland for Tex, Patricia and Susan. The Linda's are out the window. They showered and ate food at the LaBiancas, yeah. But when I look at the pictures of the evidence they found, I only can find pictures of one set of clothing. Maybe they just didn't show the pictures of all the clothing or whatever. But yeah, I found that odd. It looks like only one sweatshirt and pair of jeans they found. Yeah, that's it. Well, that's a rumour, because that was something Nicholas said to us when we went to that big meeting that we had when the English edition that didn't finally get published didn't get published. There had been a meeting arranged, but that got cancelled, so we had another meeting, and Nicholas revealed that then. He said, yeah, that he had heard from a reliable source that apparently Bruce travelled to the UK, and there's something about a Frank Zappa concert. He went to a Frank Zappa concert in Manchester, and that checks out. Zappa and Beefheart were in the country at that time doing a tour. And not that Frank Zappa was involved. He was just like in the audience at the concert. He didn't like go backstage or anything like that. But he was apparently at this fucking Zappa show selling the cocaine. So that could be where Ginger Baker got it. Maybe Ginger Baker didn't buy it in America, because Ginger Baker claimed to have bought cocaine that was from CI Drive. Got to find out more about that. I'll have to read his biography. See if he gives more information about where he was in the world when that happened. Yeah. It's impossible to verify it all, though. Like, apparently, they couldn't verify that he had flown into the country again from his passport. But was he using other passports? He might have had fake passports as well. And all this sort of thing. You don't know, do you? You cannot verify anything, but yeah. But apparently it was good information that Bruce came back to the UK again. Because that guy who wrote the Daily Mail article was with us when we went to the Bruce Davis Scientology cottage. He's the guy that falls over. If you watch my video, that's the guy that wrote the Joel Pugh article for the Daily Mail. And yeah, he searched for years. He's really invested in this, obviously. And he, in the end, they couldn't verify for certain that Bruce Davis came back into the UK from his passport. You know, his passport wasn't. He didn't go through under his own name if he did, basically. Yeah. But yeah, that is one rumour. And if people listen to that podcast that he did, I haven't listened to all of it, but listening to him, I don't think he can even fucking remember the thing very clearly. That whole time period very clearly. So like, I doubt he even bloody really knows. That's the thing. Surely he's got to be able to remember travelling to. If he travelled to the UK with the cocaine from Cielo Drive, that's got to create some kind of flashbulb memory, hasn't it? You know, he must remember that, if he did that or not. That's a yes or no answer, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I filmed Nicholas. Yeah, he went up to his shins in the water. He didn't care. Yeah, he just walked through. I bought Wellingtons. That was when we were at the Bruce Davis Scientology cottage. Yeah, because it's like a ruin. You know, the garden's all overgrown. There's a photo of it where the garden's been cut down, but it's all overgrown again. And there was a huge pool of water, and Nicholas just walked through it and went up to practically to his shins, and how deep the water was. Yeah, the rest of that footage is going to be in his film. He's saving it. He's not showing all the footage. He's only released like a part of the footage. Because my footage was crap. I forgot to turn my phone on its side. Oh, fucking... like an idiot. Yeah, so it's come out, in the portrait style and that, hasn't it? Oh, yeah, it was really annoying. But I found that the sideboard was all the kid stuff in it that was just a bit disturbing, yeah. And it all dated from the 80s. All those stickers that were on it dated from the 80s. I remember them. Yeah. Yeah, boots made for walking. They were Wellington boots, so no, not those kind of boots, no. Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting day, though. Interesting to go there just to see that town, because there's a huge Scientology complex in the UK. I didn't know that we had one here, but there's a mansion house that L. Ron Hubbard lived at for a little while and shit like that, and there's like a whole town. They have like whole streets that are Scientology and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. He's totally CIA, isn't he? Yeah. King of the Illuminati. Have you not seen the videos? Does it look like a dump now? Yeah, well, the one in LA doesn't look so good anymore, I don't think, does it? The big one, Scientology, written in big letters. They're kind of scrambling now. They must be, mustn't they? Yeah, now that it's getting revealed that they cover up for rapists and that. And there's a lot of ex-Scientologists coming out and talking about their methods. It does sound really dark. They blackmail people, basically. They get you to confess your darkest secrets and then use them against you, basically. It's really fucking strange. And how they can call that therapy. It isn't therapy. It's a fucking cult-like situation, isn't it? It's terrifying. Yeah. What, you watched the Manson 5 guy being the pot? I know him. I've gone to, yeah, no, I know him quite well. No, yeah, he's not fucking bullshit. No, he's not bullshitting about this anyway. He's really invested in this. He's invested years of his life in the Manson. He made the film, Charles Manson Superstar, or whatever it's called, didn't he? Yeah. And the big interview with Charles Manson that he did is probably one of the best interviews Charles Manson ever gave. Like, yeah, no, he's definitely got no interest in releasing anything that isn't false. That isn't real, should I say. That is false. He doesn't want to, yeah. I was joking. Don't be stupid, come on. Yeah. The hotel where the Stones wrote Satisfaction is now Scientology headquarters. Wow. Interesting piece of trivia there, isn't it? There's so many connections to the Rolling Stones as well in everything. They're another, really kind of sinister. What the hell was going on with them? And most of them are still alive. And they're probably going to go to their graves never admitting to a lot of shit and getting away with a lot of the shit they did. It's shocking. Yeah. Yeah. It was about an odd way. The missing ear, yeah. Did you know his backstory? I'm not going to fucking go into the whole fucking backstory of who Nicholas Shrek is and that. Yeah, but he's a very strange bloke. A lot of people find him difficult to take. And yeah, that's to his detriment, really. It's a shame because fucking the book is good. But yeah. He's only got himself to blame, though, because he's all of the 80s doing a provocateur act, so, yeah. And he did it a bit too well. People believed him too well. Basically, I think people actually thought that they were serious, you know what I mean? People didn't get it. So now there's all kinds of crazy theories about him where they've taken him saying stuff for Radio Werewolf out of context and made it sound like he's the king of the Illuminati. And of course, the fact he married Anton LaVey's daughter as well. And was involved with Michael Aquino as well, But it's all bullshit. It's all fucking none of these people or anything. It's all just a distraction from the real people. Michael Aquino was nothing. He was a bloody crazy bastard. Yeah, he is beyond meticulous with the Manson research, though, yeah. He is. And he's hired private detectives and everything, He's done a lot to advance this case, yeah. And back in the times when people who tried to expose drug burn theory and that got death threats and shit like that, people went through all that sort of stuff. It was very, very heavy for a long time. But now, they can't keep a lid on it anymore because everything's out, isn't it? They can't. Everyone knows about Roman Polanski, don't they? And so people ask questions. People are more inclined to believe that something went on that these people weren't entirely innocent as they were portrayed, There was a lot going on that they didn't want us to know about. And people find that easier to believe now because of what has come out and what we do know is true about Hollywood. It's no longer hard to believe that this was going on back in the 60s, is it? In fact, if anything, it was probably worse in the 60s because people weren't aware of it in those days, Were they? Women didn't know what they were getting into. As well as nowadays, women, you'd have to live under a rock to not know what the casting couch is and that. And if women go into Hollywood and subject them to, but women think they have to do that sort of shit as well. Do you know what I mean? And that's ridiculous. No one should have to do shit like that just to get a break. If should they? If they're genuinely talented, maybe people that are actually talentless maybe need to do that. But no one who has genuine talent should have to do that. It's shocking. Yeah. Yeah, you know him as well, Cliff. Yeah. He's very avant-garde. He's quite flamboyant, but he's also brilliant. Yeah, and like I say, when I've spoke to him for hours, and all that, you know what I mean. And he's actually he's normal. Do you know what I mean? There's a way he acts when he's acting, and the way he's just like a normal bloke. Honestly, if you talk to him. Like I say, I came to the Manson research through him, but it wasn't his Manson research that interested me in him. It was these connections to like people like Christopher Lee, and he's talking about the occult. You know, the things that he said about the occult, and the provocateur act that I talk of, the Radio Werewolf Project. I found that really interesting. I've always liked provocateur shit. Yeah. I've never had a crush on him. Fucking hell. Sorry, Nick, if you're watching. But no, no, he's not my type. I'm sorry, no. I've never, no. No, it's definitely not like that. Though if you look at pictures of him when he was younger, before his ear went, he kind of looked like, from talking to him, I now know, yeah, he was going for Jim Morrison. He was trying to do the Jim Morrison look. But it doesn't work because Jim Morrison had big blue eyes, didn't he? And it doesn't work if you've got small brown eyes like Nicholas. You look kind of scary if you try and do the Jim Morrison look. Yeah. No, I didn't. You're full of shit, Delinda. Why would I say that? I've never had a crush on Nicholas. Yeah, he's a good actor as well. Do you watch him? And there's the clip of him on Wally George. I think he was good. And a lot of the Radio Werewolf shows, you can find some footage of Radio Werewolf shows, but yeah, like I say, they were provocateurs. So a lot of the shit they say, you can't get away with real provocateur acts anymore. It doesn't fucking happen anymore. 80s was the last time. You get audio of me, but you can't have. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. God. Trying to show you the world you're not crazy, are you? By acting like the craziest bitch in the world. We've been going for 48 minutes on this one. I could go to an after show. KIS, that's not ANG. No, trust me. It's never been like that between me and Nicholas, ever. He's got to be, how old must he be? So I'll think about it. He was 10 in 1969. So he's got to be, no, sorry. There's older men and there's like, it gets ridiculous, doesn't it? Yeah, he kind of looked like Kiefer Sutherland, didn't he? Yeah. I don't know if I've got the slides. I don't think I will have the slides, but I've got a picture of. I've got his calling card from when he was younger. I don't think. No, I won't have the slides loaded. I'll look anyway. Because they used to call him Nosferatu. He was really into vampire stuff when he was younger. If you look into him, yes, and he was trying to go for a vampire look. I won't have them. Could possibly get it up in the after show though, if I find the slide. But yeah, I've got his actual calling card that he used to give people back in the 80s from that David Schneiderman. So I interviewed him about David Schneiderman because he met him, David Job, when he was called David Job and he was in LA. The guy who set up the Rolling Stones for the Redlands bust. Couldn't believe it. Nicholas fucking met the dude. And so I interviewed him about him, yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, whose mullet was better? Kiefer Sutherland or Linda Hamilton in Terminator? Oh no, Kiefer Sutherland was the king of the mullet, wasn't he? In Lost Boys as well. They all had mullets, didn't they? I think in Lost Boys. It was the style at the time. Yeah, since we're going off on a tangent, I'll end this one now, and I'll start an after show in a minute. So yeah, thanks for coming, everyone. Lively chat as well. I love it. I don't mind people taking the piss out of me. I really don't. I'm British. Everyone does it over here. If I had a more British audience, it would be way worse. Yeah, I'll end this now and come back for the after show in a minute if you want. Give me a minute to make another cup of tea and I'll start an after show. Thanks for coming, everyone.